All right, so let's jump right into a question that sounds super simple, but it's not. What is law? I mean, really, is it just a bunch of rules somebody made up? Is it supposed to be about what's right and fair? Or is it something else completely? You're looking at a quote from a man named Adolf Eichmann. He was a high ranking Nazi official, and this was his defense when he was on trial for crimes against humanity. And let's be really, really clear about what he was arguing here. He wasn't saying what he did was good. No, he was saying it was legal. The way he saw it, the laws of the Third Reich told him what to do, and his job, well, his job was just to follow those orders. And that defense, as chilling as it is, forces us to ask a really fundamental question. It's something legal thinkers have wrestled with forever. What is law, really? And how you answer that question, it changes everything about how you see the world. So let's get into the first way to answer that question. And believe it or not, there's a major school of legal thought that, well, it actually makes Eichmann's defense make a kind of cold, hard sense. It's called the analytical school. Okay, so this school, sometimes called legal positivism, is, well, it's pretty hardcore. It says you have to separate two totally different things: what the law is and what the law should be. Think of it like a machine. Does the law come from the right source, a government, a king, whoever's in charge? And can they enforce it? If the answer is yes, then boom, it's a valid law. Whether that law is good or evil, that's a whole other conversation for a different day. It's a moral debate, not a legal one. So if you're looking at it through this purely analytical lens, the laws of Nazi Germany, they were technically valid laws. I mean, they were horrific, but they came from the sovereign power. So Eichmann was just following the rules. It's a view that makes logical sense on its own terms, but yeah, it feels really, really wrong to a lot of us, doesn't it? And that deep feeling of wrongness, that gut instinct that some laws are just so evil they can't possibly be real laws, that brings us to the complete opposite idea. This is our second major school of thought, the natural law school. The whole idea behind natural law is that there's a kind of higher law out there. It's not written down by any government, it's just a universal moral code that we can all figure out using our reason. And any law that a government makes has to line up with this higher moral law. If it doesn't, it's not a real law. And this isn't some dusty old philosophy. Nope. It's actually baked right into the DNA of the United States. Just look at the Declaration of Independence. When it talks about unalienable rights, like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that's pure natural law theory. It's saying these rights don't come from a king or government. You're just born with them. So here you can really see these two ideas just slam into each other. For the analytical school, the authority comes from the sovereign, the person in charge. But for natural law, the authority comes from a universal sense of morality. The first one says morality and law are separate things. The second says they are totally linked. And when you look at Eichmann's defense, well, one school says it's logical, and the other says it's completely bankrupt, morally and legally. It really just boils down to this. Is law about raw power, or is it about justice? Okay, so we have this epic clash between law as a command and law as morality. But what if that's not the whole story? What if focusing on whether a law is valid is kind of missing the point? Some legal thinkers say, hey, maybe we should be asking totally different questions. This brings us to our next two schools of thought, and these guys see law less like a stone tablet with rules carved into it and more like a living, breathing thing, something that grows out of our history and helps us build our future. First up is the historical school. For them, a good law isn't some brand new idea someone just came up with, and it's not some abstract moral rule from the heavens. Nope. The best laws are the ones that have been around for a while. They've evolved with a society, reflecting its customs and traditions. They're the ones that have proven they work because they've stood the test of time. And you see this in action every single day in courtrooms in places like the US and the UK. It's a principle called stare decisis, which is just a fancy Latin way of saying, let the decision stand. It means judges should follow the decisions made in past cases. It's all about precedent, keeping the law stable and predictable by connecting it to what's come before. All right, let's switch gears for a second. Think about a totally different kind of law, like a ban on smoking in restaurants. Is that law about a king's command? Not really. Is it about some deep, universal moral truth? Probably not. It's a practical rule, right? It's designed to do something very specific, improve public health. And asking that question, what is this law trying to achieve in our society? That takes us straight to our fourth and final way of looking at law. And that's the sociological school. This view sees law as a tool. It's not some fixed ancient thing. It's an active instrument we can use to make society better. You might call it a form of social engineering. The whole point is to use laws to tackle today's problems, whether it's public health, the environment, or inequality, and nudge society in a better direction.
So there you have it. 4 totally different ways to answer that big question, what is law? You can see it as a command, as a reflection of morality, as an extension of history, or as a tool to shape the future. And here's the kicker. None of them is the one right answer. The truth is, our legal system is actually a big, complicated mix of all 4.
And looking at this chart, you can start to see why legal arguments get so heated, right? People aren't just disagreeing about a rule. They're often coming from completely different philosophical places. One person is arguing about the sovereign's authority, another is talking about what's morally right, a third is worried about breaking with tradition, and a fourth is focused on what the law can do for society tomorrow. They're all talking past each other.
So, why does any of this matter to you? Because understanding these ideas isn't just for law students. It gives you the tools to really think about the laws that govern your life. It lets you ask the tough questions. Is this law fair just because it's on the books? Does it actually reflect our values? Is it helping us or holding us back? The law is always changing, and understanding these 4 schools helps you decide what you're going to demand of it next.